Also, before I go, I also want to add this. I've never experienced I don't want to say corporate culture, because this is not corporate. But I never experienced working somewhere that, I don't know how to explain it. Like, how do I explain it? The infrastructure. Like, I don't know that I ever worked at a legitimate company that was ever really worth the shit. And mind you, like, I've had some good-looking jobs on paper, I guess. I mean, I was in sound. We did jobs for the Department of Education, you know, when the parents were going to, you know, in New York, and they were going over there, and there's the protest and all of the madness. Like, I was there for all of that. The mayor, all of the mayhem that was going on. Because these schools and the shit that they do with the kids, and there's a lot that goes on with it. But we would do the sound for that and whatever. But it's just the team of fucking knucklehead guys setting up speakers and mics. Like, this is a place where, like, everybody's useful. Like, everybody has a skill set. It's this team coming together and working to make sure that all of this shit is in this right place, and it's just this thing that just kind of takes on a life of its own. This unit filled with all these. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is I never experienced. I don't know that I ever experienced a legitimately professional work environment. Much like everything in my life. Okay, because I told you about where I came from, you know, what it came with, the family that I come from. Much like everything in my life, even the jobs that I had were very dysfunctional. These were not regular people with their heads screwed on. Shout out to my Uncle Frank, may he rest in peace, my Uncle Frank and Aunt Kay. But Uncle Frank, you know, you'd go to do a fucking job with this guy, right? Plumber, like a lot of the men in my family are plumbers. You go to do a job with this guy, you know, and he would just like, he'd be there with the wrench and he can't get it to open, and he's fucking with the wrench, and he's going, and then he's going, you motherfucking cocksucker! And this is what he's doing, and there's people like in the apartment watching this guy have a nervous breakdown with their radiator, you know? And then it's like, and then I'm standing there like, and he wants me to hand him the fucking wrench, and I'm like checked out, so I don't even fucking hand him, I'm handing him the wrong shit. And it was just like, nothing in my life was ever fucking just normal, standard. It was always fucked up. It was always fucked up. I worked in an appliance store. Madness. I lived upstairs from the job that I worked at. I used to come downstairs in my pajamas. My friend Carlo, you should hear him tell the story. He says, I never seen anything like that. He says, the kid gets me a job. I come in there. He comes downstairs in pajamas and slippers with a big watermelon and a knife. And I put the watermelon on top of the stove, like outside in the street. And like I'm cutting the watermelon at like 10 in the morning. Like when I'm supposed to start work. Nothing was ever, everything was dysfunctional. Arlene, God bless her soul, may she rest in peace. But the way that she did things was not very professional. This other guy, Larry, I worked for, absolute fucking nutcase. I've never had, in any capacity of my life, I never had normalcy. For the new people that are following me, I come from a family of drug addicts. Okay? I come from South Brooklyn. Even existing in South Brooklyn. Growing up in South Brooklyn. It's not a normal thing. It's not like if you grew up in Sunset Park or you grew up in a certain area where you had a certain unification based on an ethnic relativity, I don't know, an ethnic understanding, a bonding of culture, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You didn't have that. What you had was a melting pot of people and racism. You know, and you had me who is Puerto Rican, Sicilian. You know, I'm being raised by my Italian mother, you know, but I look Puerto Rican, so I don't, you know, there's like, it's a strange thing, you know. When I went to Sunset Park to see my father, I realized I didn't talk like the other kids. I didn't sound like the other kids. I'm not a part of this culture. I'm this thing because I'm born this thing, but I don't relate to the things that come with this thing, this culture. If I watch one of these Instagram skits where somebody says, "Oh, you know, Puerto Rican mothers," and then they grab the slipper and they start speaking in Spanish, I don't relate to that. I don't know what that is. I know my Sicilian mom who ran a nightclub that was really being run by the mob. Like, my upbringing was different, you know? So nothing like I never had, I don't know that I ever had the example of what normal should be. You know, my mom was the super of a building. She was single, and she was the super of a building, and then she also worked in the appliance store, and then she was doing the nightclub thing, you know? So it's like, what's my example of normalcy? What am I supposed to take after? You know, and to her credit, right? So it's a single mom doing what she has to do, making these sacrifices. But nonetheless, what do I have to emulate? You know, I didn't. I didn't take to school. It wasn't stimulating. It was just memorization. I didn't care. I took to music. My childhood was spent in I skipped school and I went to raves and clubs. Facts, big facts. You know, official New York City, official. People will see me today and know. You know what I'm saying? They might remember me from the fucking tunnel. You know, so it's like, you know, all of this is just new to me. It's all new to me. These legitimately professional environments. I never, you know, so it's just like I have to, you know, I don't want to say conform, but I guess I want to say, you know, adapt rather. You know what I'm saying? Which is good, because I think that's good too. I think that structure, right, and discipline is good. You know, it teaches you how to operate. Again, you're gonna come out the other side more effective. Now, I gotta fucking pack for this trip. All right, enough of my fucking ranting.